Welcome to the third Dr. Dan On, presented by the Christopher Dana Reeve Foundation. I'm Rob Girth. I'm the Director of Digital Media here at the Foundation. Today's show is Dr. Dan on what is intimacy and why do we all crave it. Now, Dr. Dan is really looking to make this a conversation. He certainly doesn't want this to be a speech. So we want everyone to participate as much as possible, either via the chat or via the phone line. And to achieve this, we just need to give you a few technical details, and for that I will turn it over to our operator for today. Her name is Lena, and Lena, why don't you go ahead and explain that for us?
Thank you, Rob. At the start of the presentation, all lines will be open and interactive. To ensure the best audio quality, please use your mute button when not speaking. You may also press 6-3 to mute your line and 6-6 to unmute your line. For those of you who are connected online and would like to participate in our live discussion, you will have to dial in as a participant. Please be mindful to mute your computer speakers if you do so, though. Also, if you'd like to reach an operator, you press *0 on the telephone. And as a reminder, today's call is being recorded Wednesday, December 5th, 2012. And I'll now turn it back over to Rob. Please go ahead.
Thanks very much. And I will put the mute and unmute numbers up here and the number to call in. So if you called in just via your computer, you don't have to do anything except turn down actually dial in first. Use the number you see on your screen, and I'll put it in the chat as well, so you have it there. So in case you can't find it on the screen, I'll put the number in. You call that number, mute your computer, then you can talk on the phone, and you can also talk directly to Dr. Dan. Then, so without any further ado, I will turn it over to you, Dr. Dan. Good afternoon.
Hey, Rob, thanks so much. And to all my friends, hello, and thank you for joining us. I meant my questions quite literally about what is intimacy. I'm not sure it's the same for everybody who experiences it. But we do know this, there's something about the it that we crave. So I'm curious about what the it is for all of us and why those who are frustrated by lack of it, why they are. So we can take a look at all those things. I mentioned in the discussion last week, I don't want to give this away, that my friend, I don't know what to call her, girlfriend, my age, well, whatever. Anyway, we went to see the sessions last week. And we're both anxious about it because, I and we would be conspicuous. So we went. And, for those of you who didn't read it or didn't watch the movie, I'm not going to give it all away. But it involved a man who was functionally a quadriplegic from post-polio. He was on a gurney. He was living on a gurney, lived in a iron lung. And he was able to get out of the iron lung for 3 hours a day. And he was 38. He fired his caretaker because of a poor relationship and hired a new young woman who was just full of life and energy, and they hung out together and went shopping together, perhaps for the first time in his life. And he fell in love with her. I didn't know if it was a capital or a small L. And she had feelings for him, but wasn't aware of what they are, what they were like. Maybe they were uncomfortable, so she left. But he decided then that he wanted to lose his virginity. And it's a story of, not about sex, it's a story of really intimacy. And lots of women loved this man with both a capital L and a small L. And why? Why? Well, Joan has been telling me all along why. Because he was comfortable with his vulnerability. And because of or despite his vulnerability, he did his life. I mean, he was a poet. He enjoyed life. He observed it. He was comfortable making fun of life and of himself. And he was vulnerable and comfortable with that. And Joan said that's her experience with me. So it got me thinking about what intimacy really is, and can we be intimate even with ourselves? Do we have an intimate relationship with ourselves? Do you have the kind of relationship with you that you would like to have with another person? There's a challenge for you. All right, so I'd love to hear from you. If you look at I'm done with this is the end of the lecture part, or the sermon part, or whatever it is. So let me give you a lay of the land here. We've got, if you look back, I've had a discussion with Molly Symington, and if Molly's listening, I don't think she is, but I'm going to get back to her because her situation is pretty serious and pretty dangerous. So I think I'll have a private discussion with her. It's pretty frightening, and it's what happens in marriages. Fortunately, rarely, but it does. And then we got another text from Lydia Mayo. I don't know if Lydia's near a phone.
Yes, I am.
Who is that?
That's me.
Lydia?
Yes.
There?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Welcome.
Thank you.
All right. So,
I'm well. How about yourself?
So far, so good. So far, so good.
I hope you feel better.
Pardon?
Let me interrupt here for a second. I'll just remind you, if you want to speak, that's great. And unmute yourself and by hitting 66. If you want to speak, but it's not your turn at the moment, or it's not part of this part of the conversation, make sure you mute 63. Otherwise, we're all going to listen to your dog bark in the background. So 63 to mute and 66 to unmute. So go ahead. Sorry, Lydia.
Lydia?
Yes.
Okay. Are you using a speakerphone?
Yeah, I am. Is that a problem?
Well, if you could come a little bit closer for me.
I'm closer.
Okay.
Is that better?
That's great.
Okay, great.
All right. So, for those who haven't read it, what does intimacy mean to you, and why do you crave it?
Well, I like that connection with other people. But what I missed, and I wrote in my comment, was what I call spontaneous intimacy. It can be as simple as, giving somebody a kiss or a little hug or something. And, I'm stuck in that chair and can't do that anymore as easily.
So, intimacy means skin contact.
Yeah, a little touch, that's true.
But it means more than that to you, apparently. When you say a little touch, that doesn't sound like that's enough. That's not what you ache for.
Yeah, I suppose that's so.
So look a little closer at what it is is that the word? I don't want to put words in your mouth. What it is, ache or desire.
Want.
What is that you want called intimacy? What is it?
Well, it has to be reciprocal for one thing. Whatever it is that I'm, a touch or whatever.
Okay. All right. Now, that gives us important information. So whatever it is that you crave that we're calling intimacy, we know it needs to be reciprocal. Okay?
Yep, we're on the right track.
Okay. All right. So then you need to do it with another human?
No, actually petting a cat would, something that responds to touch.
And petting a cat feels like intimacy.
Well, I don't get sexual with my animal. We're not going for bestiality.
All right. It certainly would increase the membership in this chat if we went in that direction, but
whatever you want to do, Dr. Dan.
Now you're making me nervous.
I'm sorry.
All right, so intimacy is a feeling you're going after.
Yeah, I guess a feeling of closeness.
Closeness. Let me tell you what intimacy means to me, or when I experience intimacy. I experienced powerful intimacy last week on the chat when I spoke with that woman. Rob, do you remember her name? I forgot.
Was it Lori? Was it Lori? I think it was Lori.
I think so.
I experienced powerful intimacy with her, and I never saw her. We never touched each other, although I did want to badly. But it was intimate. She was open and vulnerable, and I felt my heart. It was a sensory experience. I literally felt it in my chest. So to me, this is just to me, not to you. To me, that's intimate. I have it with my lover. I have it with my patients, and on occasion, I have it with my friends. Now, would I be missing something if I didn't have sexual romantic intimacy? Yeah. But that's what intimacy means to me. Your turn.
My turn.
Come on, don't make me do all the work.
Well, let's see. Okay, so intimacy. I think connection is a big part of it. And that doesn't necessarily have to be physical.
All right, so it's connection.
So it's connection.
Yeah. How many people really know you?
I'd say less than a dozen.
And
really
those dozen people, do they really know you on the inside very well?
I think we can then cut that down to half. So half again, so 6.
Okay.
People that really, really know me.
Okay. And do you feel you've got an intimate relationship with all 6 of those people?
Yep.
You do. And what's missing for you is the physical contact?
Well, I get that, just not as much as I'd like, probably. Well, I think I think I get stuck on the spontaneous part too. I mean, the whole planning thing.
What do you mean planning? You're talking about sex or
Well, if you're going to have an intimate evening, okay, I've been married for 21 years. We're going to have, and I have multiple sclerosis, so one of the parts of my disease is fatigue. So I really have to plan being spontaneously intimate.
Right. Right. And that's a stressor for you.
Yeah, it kind of is. It definitely puts pressure on you. I remember you describing being at the rehab hospital and your experience there when they just kind of put you in a room. And, I mean, that's stressful.
Right. Yeah, only here the only person watching is you and your husband.
Yep, that's true.
Yeah. What are you worried about with this planning thing? Is there anything you're worried about here? Or is it just that you're feeling sad that you don't have what you want?
I think that's part of it. I think there's also something about expectations, although, I mean, I don't have to live up to anyone's expectations. I don't even know what they are.
You don't know what your husband's expectations are?
I think they're pretty low, actually. You
hear what you just said?
What now?
You said, I think.
Yeah, that's true. You're right, I don't know for sure.
Yeah, do you know yours?
No, I don't think so. Even though I've been diagnosed 15 years ago, you would think I would be getting used to the fact that things aren't the way they used to be.
No. Don't do that to yourself. Don't do that to yourself. I'm just asking your expectations around your sexuality, around intimacy. My hunch is that it would be wonderful if the two of you talked about your sex lives, your expectations, your desires, what works, what doesn't. And I want to tell you something. You can have that conversation without touching each other, and I guarantee you will feel like you're in an intimate, you're having an intimate experience.
Uh-huh.
I take back the word guarantee. Can we delete that word?
Yeah, we can delete. It's gone.
All right, try that.
All right, Dr. Dan.
All right, take care of you.
Thank you.
Thanks for calling.
Yep.
So, here's my point about intimacy is about vulnerability, and that the more vulnerable we are, the more open we are, the more likely we are to have an intimate relationship. All right, so we've got, who's waiting to join the conversation? Donna?
I heard somebody else unmuted. Sound like a guy.
Hello?
Go ahead, whoever wants to talk next. Go ahead, speak up.
I see Donna has her hand raised, but I don't know. No?
Okay.
All right. I just would like everyone to know that I've been practicing mindfulness meditation for 15 years, and I still get anxious when there's too much silence. So there I am.
Hi, this is Candace.
Who is it?
Hi, this is Candace.
Oh, hi.
Hi, Dr. Dan. Hi, Rob.
Hi, Candace. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, I don't see your name up.
Thanks for the webcast. So the question that you posed to us was it how I feel intimate in my life?
What does that feel?
What does it mean to me?
Yeah.
What does it feel like? Well, for me, with myself, my intimacy with myself and with other people is when I feel like I can be really honest about how I feel and what it is I want to share, and it doesn't necessarily have to be reciprocal to me with other people. It has to feel honest and real for myself when I'm doing it. And I have noticed that I've been using a wheelchair since 1975. I'm a paraplegic. And so it feels like I'm a lot more open and honest about my life experience so that people can understand it a little bit better and not be so afraid of it when they see someone in a wheelchair and that kind of thing.
Donna, give me an example about how you're open and honest about your experience in a wheelchair.
Let's see. For instance, if I'm with a group of people and we've just met, and like I maybe I'm at a party and I'm talking to someone, and we're having a conversation about kids and that they're not teaching cursive writing anymore, and I'm shocked by that, and the conversation's going along, and I know from my own experience when I meet someone new, I'm wondering about them. I'll fit into the conversation how I started to use a wheelchair. So I would say maybe that, when I went to school, we learned cursive writing, and as a young adult, it was really important for me, to be able to write letters and things like that. And after I broke my back in 1975, at the age of 21, I wrote a lot of letters to friends to tell them about what happened to me, and putting it in my own hand just felt really like it was personal. So, like that.
Okay, and the purpose of that, I know when I do that, the purpose of that is to manage me as much as them. Mm-hmm. Manage my own discomfort in a new relationship, discomfort about being different. So if I tell my wheelchair story, or a wheelchair story that's relevant, then I feel more comfortable.
Yes, I agree with that piece of it. And I have that piece of it. There's also another piece that I want them to move past that wondering place.
Right.
And for us to be able to move into this other, more connected place of shared experiences.
Right. Yeah, that's great. That's great. And
thank you. I like to hear that from you. I really respect you a lot, and
that's wonderful.
Powerful.
How many years did it take you to figure that out? Because in my case, it took about 20.
Well, Dr. Dan, I got a few years after my injury, I got involved with the wheelchair racing, the pioneering of the sport of wheelchair racing, and I realized right in the very beginning I had to come up with ways to make people become more comfortable around me so I could get my agenda across of being able to create opportunities for being able to race in running races and things like that in my wheelchair. So it definitely was contrived in the beginning as a way to fulfill my own agenda.
Great. Great.
Yeah.
So to you, intimacy means being able to open up as much as you can.
Yeah, I mean, it does. And each situation is different. How much I want to open up. I mean, there are some people that I meet that I want to be able to share even more experiences as far as like things that all of us want in our lives. So yeah, it comes in different levels. And then for my own self, intimacy means when I'm with myself is really being conscious of why I do something, be it am I doing it for pleasure or I'm trying to avoid something I don't want to deal with that's unpleasant, and being clear about that. So that's intimacy with myself in just that psychological way.
Yeah, you just informed us about your relationship with your husband.
Oh, I'm not married.
Oh, I must be sorry.
That's all right.
I must be reading the wrong one.
Oh yeah, I'm not online.
Oh.
I didn't write anything online. I'm just on the phone. I don't even have the.
That's why I got confused.
Thing up. No, I'm single and I live alone.
And how are you enjoying your life?
I'm loving my life. Thank you for asking. I'm every day surprised by. I'm in a space now in my life that I'm growing. I'm learning. I'm trying new things, and I'm surprised by my ability to be accepting of each situation with a real limited amount of judgment now, and it feels really, really good.
That does make all the difference, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
That critical self-judge.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah. We've got this idea in our heads that if we are imperfect, if we do anything the slightest wrong, or even think the wrong way, that if we kick ourselves in the butt long enough and hard enough, we'll get it right. And we're supposed to be the superior species, which is really silly when you think about it.
Yeah, it is. It's I'm thinking about the vote that was taken yesterday to ratify the UN Treaty of the Rights for People with Disabilities, and how it didn't pass the Senate. And I remember thinking last night, what can I do for the next time it comes up to vote, and where can I find the reasons why they would vote against it, and what is the struggle and the fear. And so I wasn't angry that it didn't get passed. It was more I was in a space of I wanted to find a way to create a solution, and I know probably 10 years ago, I would have been really super angry. Like, they don't care about me. Why don't they want me to have my rights too? And that kind of thing.
Well, I don't know what state you're living in, but I'd love to see a run for the Senate.
I'm in California.
on
They
a
voted for it.
on a different note, though, your attitude is just the attitude that really makes significant changes. It's non-confrontational. It's an attitude of curiosity that you want to keep your eye on the ball. And the way to do it is to find someone who didn't vote for it and somehow approach them with curiosity.
And
ask them what I ask my patients. Is there any way I can help?
Thank you very much, Dr. Dan. I really like that offering.
Remember me when you're in the Senate.
Oh, absolutely, I will. In fact, the next thing I write about something like this, I will attribute that curiosity and how can I help to Dr. Dan.
Nah, don't. You own it now. It's yours. All right. Take care. And
thank you. Thank you.
So here's why I got confused, is because I see Donna has her hand raised. Rob, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Does that mean she wants to join the conversation?
Yes, she put if you look in the chat, she put in a pretty long question there for you.
Yeah, I see it. Well,
now,
Donna, if you want to...
Yeah, Donna, if you called in, you can just push 6 and unmute and talk. That would be great. No, I guess she did not.
Yeah.
So,
all right. Well, I don't want to answer Donna in writing because it would take me 6 weeks to tap that out with one finger, and I don't want to use Dragon Dictate here. So let me read it, Donna. My relationship is emotional with my husband, whom I am his full-time caregiver for over 10 years, now as a T10 paraplegic. We both feel that to be intimate, you need to be honest and have complete trust. Being intimate makes you feel loved, happy, secure, and completes me. We crave intimacy because it makes us feel good about ourselves, and it helps us cope with our new lives. It seems we needed to reinvent our intimate lives and adapt. Do you find this common, and do you see many relationships working with just an emotional relationship? I don't have a lot of experience, believe it or not, with relationships that are just an emotional relationships that are as beautiful and loving and intimate as yours seems to be. Generally, when they are just emotional, people carry in all sorts of expectations and desires and resentments. What you and your husband have, and you know what you have inside of you, is this feeling of complete trust in that moment. That intimacy makes you feel loved, happy, secure, and completes you. And I would suggest to you that if I asked you about your relationship with yourself, I would imagine you would say pretty good, even more than pretty good. So the question is, which came first? And there is no answer. Did your kindness towards yourself come as a result of your relationship with your husband, maybe even a result of the accident? Or did it come from you? Maybe you had a good relationship with yourself. You were the kind of woman who is able to open your heart, is able to love selflessly. And I referred to this language before with the Greek called agape, when your only desire is for the happiness and well-being of the other, the person you love. That's not realistic. We can't be there all the time. But that's what it sounds like you have. I wish I could chat with you about this so you could tell me either I'm in the right neighborhood or I'm completely full of baloney here. But maybe you will tell us that in the chat. But that's where I wanted to go anyway. It was about our relationship with ourselves and how we feel about ourselves, not our lives, not our wheelchairs, how we feel about ourselves as beings, as humans, the life we've lived up until now, the struggles we've had, the achievements we've had. How do we feel about ourselves? And can we look in the mirror, or as we did last week, can you touch your face if your arms can move? Or just look in the mirror with kindness in your eyes, with a sense of love for that person you're looking at. It's a very powerful and very intimate experience. It's often very healing. And often when I do that, I find myself being very tearful for the boy that I was, the young man that I was, the hair that I had once. So, if anybody wants to join the conversation, you've got the numbers. Raise your hand. Or join us through a chat. I'm happy to just react to your experience.
And remember, all you have to do is hit 6-6 and you're unmuted, and 6-3 mute you. 6-6 will unmute you. So go ahead. Anybody want to pipe in here?
Or log in with the chat. I'm curious. I want to come back to part of my original question. So, for those of you who logged in on this, why did you? What were you looking for? And what are you? What is it you want to get out of this discussion? We have Donna just validated everything I said. Oh, good. Thanks, Donna. I feel better. I was a little nervous there for a while, but I feel better. We've got Ida, who says, craving intimacy is functional. There you go. Because it establishes social connection and surviving in all relationships, whether a partner has a disability or not. The connection involving personal trust, someone who has your back and will protect your back at all costs, is invaluable. So, Ida, you are getting to the evolutionary nature of intimacy. Although I'm sure 1,000 years ago they weren't using that word. But I had a guest on my radio show last Monday at noon at whyy.org, And he wrote a book about the aging brain. But one of the things, and the subtitle of the book was The Aging Brain and Issues of Attachment and Intimacy and Purpose. So I talked to him about that, and he said that the brain is a social organ that, like you said, Ida, there's something in our brain, in our evolutionary genes, that craves contact, that craves belonging. And, we heard from Donna that when she is with her husband in love, in an intimate relationship, it feels like, in her words, he completes me. And that's a sensation of what we all need. Not necessarily to be completed, but to be that close, that part of something. You're right, Ida. Not only somebody that has your back, but somebody who truly knows you on the inside. And then when they say they love you or they care about you, then you know they really do, because they know you. If you don't feel known, if you're not able to open up fully, you can't feel their love because they don't fully know you. You can feel love with a small L, but the quality of intimacy that we're talking about here happens when you open up, let yourself be known, and then you hear the words, I love you. Or sometimes more important, hear the words, I get it, I understand. Or watch someone smile or across from you or cry. Then you know that you're known, and that's truly intimacy. So I really appreciate that. Yeah, I really appreciate it. Somebody on the line, Rob?
Sounds that way, and I am also realizing I gave out the wrong number earlier, so I just put the chat up there and put the right number up there. So let me just give the number here, because we still have 15 minutes to go here, so if anybody wants to call in, they can call in to 800-406-9725, and I just, like I said, put it in the chat. So I'm very sorry about that, 800-406-9725. Yeah, I thought I heard somebody had their line open. Go ahead, whoever has their line open.
Yes, this is Donna.
Hey, Donna.
Hello, Dr. Dan. I want to thank you for everything that you said. You are such an expert, and I think you need to write a book about this, but it's fantastic, and I think it's so great that you're discussing these issues. And I did want to give a little bit more input to the people that are listening in on this chat, and to explain it a little bit better. My husband has other issues besides being a paraplegic. He has a heart condition and he's diabetic, and so it would be impossible to have more of an intimate relationship that would be physical. And he's 65, and it would affect his heart, as his cardiologist told him. And we have reinvented our lives, and we've adapted to it, and we find pleasure in the small things. And I think that everyone that's listening really has to find someone, whatever kind of a relationship they're in, whether it's the traditional or two men, two women, whoever they're with, really be honest and find trust, try to find someone you can trust, and always keep the conversation going. Don't hold in, even if it does cause crying, pain. It's so much better to get it out. And there always will be those bad days. And I really think that your advice is so helpful, and it's helped me so much. And I've actually passed the help on, and I benefited from a caregiving event that was put on, partially funded by the Reeve Foundation and the Connecticut chapter, the Spinal Cord Association, with a fellow named Todd that is part of Christopher Reeve. And what you're doing there is wonderful, and I hope you continue on. I don't want to take up too much of your time.
Well, Donna, thank you so much. And, like we talked about beforehand, I'll be sending you that endorsement check in the mail. Just don't cash it for 2 weeks, okay?
Okay, I won't.
All right,
I definitely need to send you a check, but I really think you need to be working on another book, and I love all your photographs of your grandson and everything. It's just absolutely wonderful and heartwarming, and I think that we all listening out there really need to take a look at what you're doing with your life, the love that you're spreading, the advice that you're spreading to people, and the help trying to teach us all there at the Reeve Foundation. And I think that Christopher Reeve and Dana Reeve are looking down, and they are so thankful to the Lord and to what you are doing. They would be so extremely proud of all of you there.
Well,
and
Donna, thank you. Thank you
so
much.
Welcome.
I wish you great happiness and continued love in your life. And please tell your husband I said hi. Take care.
I will, and I'll be talking to you again. And thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
And happy holidays to everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye. Well, I want to talk with Lisa Armstrong. I don't know, Lisa, if you have a phone or are comfortable calling, but I am thrilled to see your chat. Lisa said, I'm a girlfriend of 5 months to a wonderful man who's been a paraplegic for 26 years. We're able to talk openly and honestly about our intimacy. However, I appreciate listening to how you present information and how others express their needs and desires. Boy, I would love to hear from others to weigh in for thoughts, ideas that Lisa can use to enhance her relationship even more with this wonderful man. There's a way in which spinal cord injury really forces us to be honest and open and creative. It forces us to do the kinds of things really everybody needs to be doing if they're going to have an intimate relationship. But it takes away all of the hiding places that most adults have. So, I might have mentioned here before that I was going to put different letters after my name on my business card. Instead of PhD, I was going to put on DKS. Don't know, stuff. Because that's the way we need to approach this. That I don't know. I don't know what this is going to be like. I'm not sure what I need. I don't know what you need. Can we try this? Because I've never been here before at this moment. And, we've talked a lot about vulnerability, and that's opening your heart and allowing yourself to be vulnerable. And just imagine a partner of yours saying that to you. How wonderful that would feel. So you can do that for someone else. So I think Lisa commented, that she's got no phone. No access to a phone, but that's absolutely the truth. He is so in tune with all of his abilities and needs that he has such a strength that he actually has taught me to allow my vulnerability to come forward. And, you know, I talked to Joan, you know, the woman I'm with now, and my love for her feels different than any love I've had before. And I don't think I could have had this kind of love or felt this kind of love 10, 15 years ago. And it's not just the partners I chose, but it was about me and my ability to love mostly selflessly. And of course, as the relationship gets more important, you know, there's always anxiety attached. You know, so whenever there's anxiety about loss, then there's always clutching and all that. But by and large, you know, intimacy is about openness. So I don't know if anybody else is on the phone, or
just hit 66 unmute. 66 unmute you. Don't be shy.
Well, if not, let me say this. Donna wished all of us happy holidays. And there are a lot of holidays this month. And all of them are around the winter solstice, the darkest days of the year. And the two biggest holidays, Hanukkah and Christmas, both involve miracles. And we look for light of some kind when it's the darkest. And all of these festivals involve coming together. I don't know where the gift part came in, but maybe sharing wealth, sharing our lives with the people we care so much about. I want to tell you what this holiday means to me, and this is a very significant one for me. December 20th will be 33 years since I became a quadriplegic. And that number is not significant, except my accident happened when I was 33 years old. So you can do the math and figure out my age, but I remember wondering as my health stabilized and not really believing that I would live until I was double the age, live until I've spent more than half my life in a wheelchair. And now that I think there's a fairly good chance I'll make it, I wonder what that day will be like for me. Knowing that I don't know and my predictive skills are horrible, like most humans, I wonder, as I speak now about it candidly for the first time, I'm feeling some sadness about what I can't remember anymore. I'm sure I will feel that, or I guess I will. I'll feel some grief. I'll feel some joy. I'll feel a sense of accomplishment. These are just guesses. But it's going to be a very interesting, contemplative day, and I'm looking forward to it because I'm approaching my day. I'm approaching Dan on December 20th with a curious mind and an open, loving heart. So I'll keep you posted, guys. I might write about it on the View from here as it gets closer. So I guess that's it. We will meet again in the new year. Oh, Rob.
Right.
You and I talked about postponing it a week.
Yes.
Because it's the second, and not only is it so close to New Year's, but the real reason is I'm going to be away on a meditation retreat, which it's kind of like taking my mind to a car wash. So it feels good when I'm out, but you know what happens when you go to car washes. It gets dirty pretty soon right after that. But I'm still going to go, and I'll be away for 5 or 6 days. So we shall meet on the 9th, same time, same place?
Correct. Usually it's the first Wednesday of the month at 4 o'clock, but in January it will be the second Wednesday, which is the 9th, at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. The other thing I want to remind people, if you go to christopherreeve.org/webcasts, you'll be able to find this webcast, and there's some other webcasts that we're going to have coming up in the new year. Actually, we have some webcasts coming up in this year now that I think about it. Next week we're doing, actually next 2 weeks, I'm looking at the calendar. Next 2 weeks we're doing, you think I'd be better at selling this, huh? The next 2 weeks we're doing webcasts. Next week it is about outdoor activities that you can do. Anybody that's living with paralysis. And then 2 weeks from now, Gary Karp, who, if you've been tuning in here, Gary has been a listener to this webcast as well. He is going to do a webcast that he entitles Adjustments to Paralysis. So for the next 2 weeks at 4 p.m., we are going to have a whole bunch of webcasts going on, and then Dr. Dan will be back on the 9th. And again, we're archiving these all at christopherreeve.org/webcast with an S at the end.
And I would love, under the webcast in my discussion, I'd love to hear thoughts from you about what you would like to talk about next month. So, this is for all of us, so let's hear from you. Think about it and then send me a note on in the discussion.
Yeah, in the community, and you can, if you don't know, you can just go to our homepage, christopherreeve.org, and at the very top, there's something that says join the discussion. You click there, and then you'll be able to find Dr. Dan fairly easily from there and be able to contribute to that as well. So thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We appreciate it very much, and stay with us. We're going to keep, for the next couple Wednesdays, we have some right up into the holidays, and then Dr. Dan will be back again on the January 9th. Thanks, everybody.